didn't result in a real project that we could implement there in the end. But we do see sometimes that at clients we get the opportunity to also implement Einstein features. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we already have one project, I think, which is going to use some of the feature from Einstein. Haven't heard about it, but yeah.
I think multiple, especially in Europe, but yeah, there are definitely opportunities also there to work with Einstein.
Hi, my name is Rafik. I have a question. How about the licenses for the employees, for the users? Which license do you use so they can use this app?
Yeah,
that's a good question as well, actually. Well, it's just a standard Salesforce license, and we currently are paying for around 80,000 licenses from Salesforce. So because they are using Salesforce user as well, so we are using Salesforce license still. So all the users all the employees who are using this app has an account within Salesforce. I think we are currently at around 60,000 users, active users at the moment. And we are still rolling out to even more stores. We are also rolling out to Belgium stores, actually. And yeah, in total, we are dealing with around 80,000 licenses.
Okay, nice, thank you. So it's a very, it's very expensive.
A lot of chatter, maybe.
No, I mean normally.
The Salesforce licenses aren't the cheapest ones, but I think also here you need to realize that we help the client with obtaining the license, but we're not. So it's the client responsibility to make sure that they have the licenses. So they are also negotiating with Salesforce, and we as a project team usually get access because we need to develop. So we do get licenses in order to develop. But it's also good to realize that this number 80,000, these are particular users, so probably they have also struck a deal to make it a bit cheap, because normal, I don't think they have the most extensive Salesforce license that there is. There's you can package that in a certain way, and they've done that probably.
Yeah, there are always negotiation happening between clients, Salesforce, and us as the one who built it. Well, I'm not really involved in the license discussion, of course, but we also give input about what features we are going to use, and all the licenses can be adjusted based on the needs, actually. So it's not like a hard deal, and yeah, it's always flexible, I would say.
Okay, nice. Thanks for the answer.
Okay. Yeah, this is just some other functionalities of the app. I've explained 2 of them, but there are more functionalities: searching products, scanning barcode, so they don't need a barcode scanner anymore.
That's his glasses on. That's really good.
Yeah.
yeah. Eventually, in the future, we get cheaper. It's absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, they got all the information that they need to support the customers at hand. They don't need to ask their colleagues or find information back in the back office. They have all information about all the products specific for their store, actually. So if they don't have a certain product within their store, they can just search it in the app. If it's not available, they can immediately tell the customer, okay, we don't have that product in this store. And yeah, it saves a lot of time, I would say.
They don't need SAP anymore. SAP.
Well,
Orel.
SAP has other benefits, of course, but a lot of the services that the stores or the back office need are actually now captured in Salesforce for Jumbo. But SAP is good in different areas of
yes.
Yeah.
Managing certain other processes. It's more an ERP system. But what is really cool is, so you can now just use your camera phone to scan an article. Before that, before we implemented this app at the stores, they really needed like a bulky, big device, and they only had 7 at a store. So you had more employees, of course, but they couldn't really use the functionality of scanning products because there were only 7 devices. So this was really a big game changer for them.
It's better. Yeah.
And I have a question. The scalability, because for so many people, how do you make it in, or how do you go about thinking, I'll make it and so it's scalable for 80,000 and more? Is that something you think about in the first instance, or as you're making it, you roll it out in different phases that you think, okay, now we can continue?
Yeah, good question as well. So indeed, we did not go directly to 60,000 users that we have now. So we had a rollout strategy as well. But if you were worried about like whether Salesforce can handle that many users, well, that's not a problem at all. So what happens is the app actually makes a call out to Salesforce, REST call out to Salesforce, and to get information. And we never had a problem with the number of requests that we receive. So it is actually a pretty powerful platform, I would say.
That's nice. Then
yes,
automatically adjusting to the amount of calls and amount of people on the same platform at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do, of course, when implementing like the APIs, do certain things in a certain way. So when we process data of calls, we try to do that as optimal as possible, and we have best practices for that. And also knowing whether we need to scale things in a certain way, that also comes with the experience that we have within Deloitte. So we've done a lot of big projects, so that knowledge and experience is easily available. And that helps us also deal with scalability issues, because sometimes there are, of course. And Salesforce is a good platform. It can handle a lot of like large data volumes, but sometimes we also choose to offload certain processes to Heroku, for instance. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Heroku, but that's an option we sometimes use.
Heroku.
Yeah.
That's also owned by Salesforce, right?
Yeah,
yes,
it was also acquired by Salesforce, yeah.
Heroku, yeah.
I think we need to move a bit on.
Yes. Yeah, so that's basically from my slides. And I give the floor to you, Maurice.
Yeah, so I'm currently working at PON. That's a client of mine. And I just want to share this project with you to give you an idea of a different project, also a bit of different implementation. So at PON is an automotive company. Actually, it does much more, but it's at least also known by that part. So they sell a lot of the Volkswagen Group cars actually within the Netherlands. So they have like exclusive right to import those cars, and they have a broad network of dealers with whom they work together in order to also have like more physical presence within the Netherlands. So at PON we started actually a journey with thanks with the pre-bookings of actually the Volkswagen ID3. I think you've seen it by now on the streets and on the roads. But when we started was, I guess, 2 years ago in May. And I actually joined just at the start of this.
There are many cars on. Sorry, Marius, but there are not many cars at the moment on the street because of the corona. So, well,
that's a good point.
But yeah, I've went outside even with these circumstances, and I've seen a couple. But the idea here was to. I think Tesla was the first one actually to really do like pre-bookings, pre-reservations of the car in order to raise capital for their car factories. Actually, Volkswagen Group didn't need really the capital to they didn't do it for this purpose. They actually they wanted to do pre-bookings to just introduce the electric car in a way that's it would be more hyped and people would know a bit more about it. They really wanted to be a special thing, actually. So for this, we actually, for this implementation of making it possible for customers to pre-book a car, we created a community. So what you see here is a public page where we expose a flow. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Salesforce flows, but it's just a flow that we're exposing to the customer when they search this site, and they can fill out their details in order to pre-book a Volkswagen ID3. And once they've done that, they actually come into the community itself. So then they're a Salesforce user, they can log in and they can see the stage of their pre-booking. That's in the bottom picture. This whole pre-booking implementation went so well that other brands within PON, they also wanted us to facilitate the same kind of journey. So I think if you click next, we also did this for Seat, Skoda, but now also Audi and other brands. And actually it's the same solution. So what you're seeing is like kind of different branding, different images, but the whole structure, it's kind of the same. So you see how powerful a good implementation can be. And even for different brands, it can still have like an own kind of look and feel to it. So this was the first step actually in the My Branded Communities vision of PON and us. So if we go to the next slide, we started actually developing more and more features to this. So the first thing, and I also worked on this, was the service tracker, where we wanted to facilitate information to the customer when they need to bring in their car for maintenance, so they could have an idea what's going on at the garage, and also give them information on how it's progressing. So if there's any additional services required for the car, so that we can easily just display that to the customer. And what would happen is actually when they would bring in the car for a service appointment, we would just send them a link, like this is your service appointment, and then they would go to this public page where they would see the details of their service journey with the car. After that, we also started implementing the OEM ID, and that's about tracking the customer. So on any site where they want to enter their SEAT credentials, we would recognize them as a customer and just easily give them the most optimal login experience. So they would not need to create different accounts on different sites, but they could use just one SEAT ID for multiple sites. And the last one is the private lease community, where we also started digitizing the ability for consumers to private lease online. And this would also result in a SEAT account or a community account similar to the pre-booking one. Next slide, Adrie. So here you see actually what we've been headed towards, and I think we're actually beyond this already. This was from a time ago, but this is the My Branded Community environment as how we envisioned it and what we've reached actually so far. And here we've actually incorporated all the different elements from before. So from here from this My Community environment, when you log in, you can see your pre-booking from a car, you can see your service details on a car as a customer. It's like really a self-service portal, but it's also an opportunity for PON to do some additional sales in a environment that is branded specifically for the car brand, but also developed around the customer itself. Next slide, Adrie. Yeah, I think I will skip this one because this was actually this is actually kind of showing the same thing, only a bit more premature version. So the slide before actually gave a better impression of the total, but here you see the different services or the different features coming together in the My Branded community environment. Any questions so far? Because this was the last slide I wanted to present from what I've done so far at PON with my colleagues.
Marius, did they started the project just from the beginning with communities with you? Because I have talked to other people about case studies regarding how difficult it is to implement communities in general, because many organizations already have a website and then don't want to use a different source of or a different page or a different platform to create it. So did they start it right away with you, or they change it and all the projects that they have?
No, so the car brand sites, they still have their own site. So the community was actually created because they wanted to do the pre-booking journey, and we said, like, we can do that as a POC, as a proof of concept. And the way we then were able to deliver that was through a community. And what you also see nowadays is actually we still have the communities and we still have the brand sites. But what is a lot more going on now is that there is much more interaction between the branded sites and the communities, the My Branded communities. So we redirect to each other, or we even incorporate components that we use within the My Community environment. So at the community environment of Salesforce, we also reuse those components on the branded site. So we can also expose them to that. So there's a lot of
so keeping the branding, the branding more or less the same, and the style.
And in the end, the customer doesn't really care about. Of course, they don't want to search for a lot of different URLs and be redirected all the time. But if we really help them by sending the right email, the right text, and they just click on the link and they can do their thing, they're not that negative about having to be at different pages or sites, being able to do their thing. Actually, if you guide them,
so it's more the client that can normally put the constraint. Because I was talking to someone who also a specialist in communities, and one of the things he told me was exactly that. It's not that I have heard from many people, but this particular case, he said to me, look, implementing communities is okay, but it's hard to find, hard to implement, or hard to convince clients to do that, because normally they already have some platforms. So it's more, in your view, it's more a problem from the client and not for the consumer.
I think the consumer doesn't get to decide, of course, and because the client is pushing it to the consumer, right? And but you're indeed correct. Like some clients may not see it at first, like that it would be a good thing for them, and that's also part of what we do at Deloitte. Like we try to convince them of what would be good for them. If we think this is better for them, we would advise that, and if not, we also may say communities is not for you. But we have a lot of experience with communities within Deloitte, and I don't see any problems with having this up and running at the client next to a different site or anything.
And Marius, another question quickly, because I guess you're running out of time, but I think and many people want to make questions for sure. But regarding the process of development for you and Adri, how it looks like in Deloitte? Is a kind of Scrum where the system the type and the participation of the client, who the client is involved in the whole process, is participating actively in the Scrum sessions, or it's just that you receive user stories and you start just working out what you want to do?
I hope to touch upon this question in the next couple of slides, perhaps. So also to get it.
Fine.
And in the end, if it's still not answered, please just raise your question again. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's run through this quickly. now, so we'll touch upon that topic as well. So now about working at Deloitte, how it looks like. So as a Salesforce developer, of course, we come up to three main things about the role. Of course, you are the subject matter expert of a Salesforce platform, especially. So we are going to be the one where the client goes to when they have a question about Salesforce or whether this is possible or this is not possible. So we are also doing a solution design. So they have requirements. We are thinking together with them. So they don't just throw you some info and then let you do it, but we always have a great communication and we work together with the clients to solve the issue. But we are kind of have the technical background in mind and also platform knowledge in mind that we know how to implement this solution to solve the problem that they have. And we are also supplementing the development efforts. So we are also building for them. So all the Salesforce knowledge, we know how to build it from the design phase until the implementation and support after that as well. And then also we have also Deloitte Teams, which is our internal Deloitte colleagues. So you are also expected to have a lot of contacts with our teams. We work closely together with other teams, designers, strategists, mobile developers, security experts. So within the digital customer engineering, you don't only work with that team, basically. It's really often that we collaborate with other teams, marketing as well, for instance. And then also about the methodology, that most of our projects use Scrum, indeed. We work with sprints, we have user stories, but that does not mean that we only work with Deloitte colleagues. We work together with the clients. So if I take my project, for example, I have my product owner is from the client. My tester is actually an external company as well within the client. So it's from a different company. I have also a designer from the client, and we always have meetings together. So every morning, stand up with the clients and other the external parties as well. So the team is diverse, I would say. And we are involved in all the processes.
We need to speed it up a bit more.
Okay, cool. This is just the tools that we use. Not really relevant for now, I would say, but we have a lot of tools that we use. And yeah, is there any questions?
About the tools, it just gives you an idea of what we work with. It can deviate, of course, a bit from this because it's also dependent on what client you're working on. But if you want to know more about this, please ask some questions about it.
Okay. This is how a normal day looks like in a normal client day. Start with a stand-up, work on a user story, a lot of meetings, Scrum standard meetings. I would say you probably know what those are. We have a coffee break as well with colleagues just to catch up and to refresh a little bit. And we also have additional internal work on the side. Normally, I spend my Fridays doing my internal work, but yeah, it's not always fixed schedule, I would say. And a little bit of what is expected from a junior developer. Of course, we're expecting you to develop yourself, grow your network, take ownership of topics or whatever work you're working on, and support all your colleagues. Those are the main things.
And the developer actually refers much more to the development of the system. So really developing or configuring in Salesforce.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, this is if you decide to join, or if when you join Deloitte, you get a buddy, basically a buddy we call it, for the first 5 months. So you get one person who you can go to for any questions that you have about the company or about as simple as where the toilet is within the building. You also get support from a coach. That's normally a manager for your development. You also have an assignment manager for your client-specific or project-specific manager that you can reach out to regarding projects. You have for your team members. You have the whole NL colleagues, and you also have North-South Europe colleagues. Yeah. Anything to add? Oh, question? Yes.
For 1 to 10, communication skills, how much do you need for the job you are doing?
It's a pretty important part. So we do expect people to be able to express themselves properly to clients. English is an important part of the job, of course, because of the international character. So we have quite some people from different countries, and also within IT consulting, you see like a lot is being done in English nowadays, even at Dutch clients. But it is also a benefit, of course, if you can speak Dutch in a Dutch country. Definitely, it's a big benefit. So, yeah, but to answer your question, we do expect you to be able to properly express yourself. And if you're not really there, but you're really motivated and you think you can do it, of course, we can help you with that. You get soft skills training
Yes.
and so on.
I see that